Well, welcome to University Baptist Church. We're a progressive, welcoming, and inclusive congregation in the heart of the University District where faith is expressed as love. It's a deep, deep saying the more we think about it, and it's one that centers me often. Today's going to be a little bit different. I probably don't even need a microphone. I think I'm just using it for those in the virtual world who are here with us. We really don't have a welcome and invocation, some of those elements. This is going to be a prayer service. Also, our printer went out of toner, I think, on the 23rd. We were able to shake it and get the last scripts that Drew and Mike did were the very last. Remember, I told you about this was the last printed. Perhaps, I don't know if we're going to update the toner or if we're just going to, kind of string it along. I think we will. But all that's to say, so printing things out became a little more complicated, so we're doing it all electronically here. So we have a slide, and I was able to kind of get a little of this. So I invite you all into this service of prayer, in the spirit of prayer. There's an element that I'll share about my own self. There's, in my sermons, I've been influenced by several different people and books. One book was a gentleman named David Buttrick, and he suggested, along with another friend of mine, Diane Lipset, who is also a professor of New Testament at Salem College, formerly at Wake Forest, they suggested a pause. There's one word that I have in every sermon I've ever preached, and it's just for me, and it's just pause. It's at various sections, because what I realize is that if I don't pause, it's just like a moving train sometimes, that everybody else needs to collectively take a breath and come back, and it gives people who wander off, a little bit. Rightfully so, sometimes that's like the very nature of a sermon, is you wander a little bit. And so if somebody wanders, it gives them a moment to come back, to join the sermon again. It's kind of like an entryway once again, and I generally have 5 different pauses, if I'm doing it well, in a sermon. Today, I almost sense that we are collectively pausing. We have a lot going on in the life of our church, as you all know. There's different facets, everything from our move to what memories and what items are we taking with us? Where are we storing items? The transitional space, and all of those elements are in process. Hi, guys. On top of that, we have friends who are undergoing cancer treatments. We have friends who are waiting on cancer diagnoses. We have friends that are nervous about what's coming next for the church. All of these elements brought my spirit to a place of wanting to just pause with you all in prayer. Pause in a sense that we could clear space so that we can mentally, spiritually, and prayerfully be together in this time. So it's completely different today. I'm not really preaching. We will all just be sharing. We don't have to use this microphone. I'm doing it for those in the virtual world. But if you have a prayer or something, there will be 3 different opportunities to pray and 3 different questions. I like to know what's going on in a service, so I'll just give a little bit of an overview so that we're all on the same page and no one feels like they're on this runaway train, okay? So the first part will be me sharing about a pause, and I'll share a little bit more. The next is a hymn, and then we're going to ground ourselves. And we'll just have a moment of being present. Oliva and I will both read that just as a way for us to be present. And then we'll ask the question about what prayers. We'll have 3 sections of prayer. One will be about recognizing our present. What is asking for prayer among us right now? If my spirit was feeling just the need to pray, I'm guessing yours was too. So what needs prayed for? What needs held up? The next question, which will come in another section, will be what fears do we need to shed, or what anxieties, or what concerns? What do we need to shed or let go of? in order to move into a place where God's future is assured. The last question will be, what assurances do we need to hold? Some of that can be assurances of what this space is, the ethos of University Baptist. Some of them can be what God's promise has been for Abraham, for Jacob, for Isaac down the line, for Ruth. What promises do we hold on to for University Baptist? So that's kind of the extent of it. I won't go through the whole slideshow, but here's how we'll sort of work the prayer times. People can come up, and I don't expect you to pray. If you'd like to pray, that's wonderful. If you'd like to just share and say, this is something I'm hoping to shed, or this is a prayer that I'm holding deeply right now. You can come up to here and share that. You could do it from your seat. You could stand up and do it from your pew. There isn't like a right way. But at the end of that time, I'll invite a response. And that response, so if Joe were to share a prayer, I would just say, God, in this moment, and then God's people would respond. Right, draw near us. So God, in this moment, draw near us. Okay? I'll skip ahead just from, the next one will be God of compassion. And then you will. Yeah. And then the last one will be faithful God. Okay, so that will be the 3 sections of our prayer. It's just scaffolding, really. It's scaffolding so that we can have a form to pray in and to pray for one another and to hold this place up and to hold one another up. So this is our pause. This is our pause in the sermon. This is our pause in the life that lets us join our hearts, that lets us take a breath, that lets us move forward with God's assurances. Okay? So I'll move back. Okay, so this is grounding ourselves. My therapist says, take some time to ground yourself, okay? So that's what this is. Oliva was helpful, and we sort of batted some emails here. Batted some emails back and forth, and we'll do the grounding first.
We'll do the grounding.
Yep.
So we'll start there.
One more.
Okay.
Maybe one more. Hold on one second. You had it printed. It was great. So this is a way for us, there will be unison prayers at the end of each section, but this won't be read aloud or in unison. This will just be something where you could kind of close your eyes and imagine yourself just being present, just taking a moment to breathe in, to breathe out. Okay? All right, I'll read the first. Let us take a breath together. Slowly. Intentionally. Letting the rhythm of our inhale and exhale remind us that we are alive in this moment.
Here we go. In this room, in this city, on the edge of campus and community, we gather as a people shaped by our memory, by questions, by love and struggle alike. Now we're pausing again. And we pause. Bringing ourselves gently before God.
Thank you, that's lovely. We remember the long story of this place. a church born in the heart of Columbus, matriarchs meeting needs, a community that from its earliest days opened its doors wider and wider. One of the first Baptist congregations here to become racially integrated, one that ordained women to gospel ministry, one that continues to name every person as beloved and included.
We honor the spirit that moved here through the years and seasons, through international neighborhood coffee hours that have welcomed women from more than 80 nations, and through the ministries of justice and service in this neighborhood, a place of refreshment, learning, and shared humanity.
We breathe in the gifts of this community, its diversity of ages, races, orientations, and experiences, its commitment to thoughtful faith and justice, its openness to questions that deepen rather than confine.
And in this very breath, we acknowledge where we are now, the hopes we carry, the griefs that cling, the uncertainty that lingers, and the love that still draws us forward.
So let us ground ourselves here by naming this place, this time, this community, and this breath, and the God who sustains us all, or the God whose Spirit sustains us all. In the quiet of this shared pause, may you feel the presence of God nearer than your next breath and deeper than your deepest fear.
Let us breathe and rest in the present and God's assured presence.
That's perfect. Yeah. It's okay. Thank you. If you want to, do you want
I can.
to? Or I'll wait. Let's wait for the meeting's presence section. Right. So the first question, and I'll leave the microphone, but as I said, don't feel like you need to. What is asking for prayer among us right now?
I need to offer prayers for my stepson Stephen, who will be 37 in February. Tomorrow is, we hope, his last chemotherapy treatment for testicle cancer, and it's been a toll on his mother and his wife Karen. And we pray that Stephen comes out of this, is cured, and he can get back to work.
God, in this moment,
I think I'm praying right now for patience with healing, not only like sometimes with physical pain, but also with grief. I didn't realize it takes so long to heal through those things, but I think I'm praying for patience just to realize that it's a long journey, but it's worth it.
God, in this moment,
just so you know that maybe back in August or September, I was diagnosed with prostate cancer. And we did all the tests and discovered that it was a fast-growing kind, but contained. And so for the last, I guess, I'm almost halfway finished with my radiation treatment. Tomorrow will be I'll be right at halfway. But then during this same period of time, Helen had some blood work to come back that was questionable, right, and concerned us. So she pursued that for a while, and eventually she went to the diagnostic center at the James, rather than going doctor as our primary would say. So anyway, we discovered that she has a blood cancer. It's called SLL, which is similar to C. I get it confused. One is a cancer, the blood, that one that manifests itself in the other blood, and the other is in the lymph nodes. We saw a hematologist last week, and we'll see her again. She took more blood. But then in addition to that, we discovered that Helen has indications of thyroid cancer. And so, we're waiting to get to talk with the hematologist. No. Endocrinologist. We are seeing a lot of people with IST at the end of the morning. But we see her in January. We just went on Tuesday and they took another batch of blood. So as I heard Helen tell somebody on the phone, it's sort of hard to have 3 cancers in one small condo. But we're asking people that that care for us to pray for us. And part of my treatment is that I have a Lupron shot. They did, which is it sort of slows down the hormones, but it also for me it makes me teary. So sometimes out of the blue I'll tear up, and my friend Anna, who's been suffering with our friend, a lot of you know Anna, who's preached here. She says tears are a gift, and sometimes it really feels that way.
God in this moment.
What is asking for prayer among us right now in this moment? When I first thought about the question, it's like God's shaking our bones. When it's time to wake up our bones. We have been comfortable in this space at 50 Wasteland Avenue, and it's really hard to start anew. I understand that. But the term I vision shaking our bones to just say, okay, we care for one another, we love one another, and that share our love with other people. Thank you.
God in this moment.
wasn't sure I wanted to say anything, but I'm not a prayerful person. And so, in my current view of life, it doesn't mean a lot to me to pray. But I feel like there are things that are overwhelming. And so maybe prayer will help. The biggest thing I think of day in and day out is the state of our country and our government. I don't know what to do about it. It causes me to lose hope, and I don't know how to find the hope. So I don't know what to do about this situation. I just hope that it will be addressed and dealt with and resolved.
God, in this moment, as a way of honoring all of those prayers, we'll join together in this unison prayer with pauses in between to kind of honor our intention, to just take a minute, even as we're praying, even as we're together, to pause. Join with me. God of presence and compassion, you meet us where we are. You are the shepherd who notices when one is missing, who searches until all are found, who carries the weary and stays close to the vulnerable. You are the one who sees a hungry crowd, who receives what is offered, who blesses it, breaks it, and shares it until there is enough for all. You are the healer who pauses, who listens to stories long ignored, who restores dignity as surely as health. So we bring before you the needs we have named among us, spoken and unspoken, personal and shared. We offer our care, our attention, our presence, trusting that small acts of love can become signs of abundance. Ground us in this moment. Open our eyes to one another. Teach us to care as you care, patiently, generously, and with love. Amen. Would you join in singing hymn number 305? If you'd like to stand, and as we sing, Lord, listen. in trusting our future. This church has a bright future, but there are always anxieties and fears that are part of what's next, and some things, whether it's personally or corporately, that we need to shed. So this is a time of just things that we're letting go of.
I would like for you to join in prayer for our BDUC committee. Several of the committee members are here. It's an awesome responsibility. And I have fears that some of you may not like a part of what we have decided, or that you may find fault in a tiny bit of it, but please know that we have really worked very hard, and we're at a crucial point right now, so if you could just be supportive and loving in our decisions, that would make our job so much easier.
Hi. I need to let go of the fear as moderator that I don't have the wisdom that I need, which I don't. But that's not really the problem. I need to keep in mind the words that Leslie told me back in October, is ultimately it's in God's hands. So my prayer is that I trust in God's wisdom and not mine, and that will be enough. Thank you.
Bear with me, guys. I don't like speaking in front of the church. I think it's really human to really be committed to routine and like things the way they are. And I've felt that way so many times in my life. Moving is hard, like whether it's out of your house or to a new city, but here we are moving 2 blocks down the road and it's a big deal. I've noticed a lot of emotions and I think a lot of fears of what if things aren't the same? And obviously they won't be, kind of like what Isaac said. Sometimes we just gotta acknowledge, like, yeah, and it won't be. But I really have this hope that we trust that church can be embodied with just this group of faces that we see week to week, whether it's at a new place or not. So just that hope for the wilderness years, that we can let go of the fear of things not being the same. And let church be us gathering together every week.
Fear I want to shed is, I think just that it won't be enough. I had a friend who said that pastoring could be a really easy job if you don't care about it. He said, but if you do care, he said it's one of the hardest jobs in the world. And so there's a certain weight, maybe, that comes with it. Well, will people stay when we're in this interim location? There's like 1,000, sort of details as well that go into it, and the move, the interim location, the transition time. What will these wilderness years be like? I really like the shaking bones metaphor, you know, because it is sort of like a shakiness, but then there's also just like people in everyday life. It's like you all are going through things, and sometimes as a pastor, I'm not as attentive as maybe what, you know, so some of that is just like things that I carry too, that I have to let go of and trust that God's Spirit, you know, is with you all. And then as Bobby mentioned, the building design and like all the decisions. It's kind of a big undertaking. Then I worry, do we have the bandwidth, you know, kind of thing to make this turn while we're doing it? But I'm also really inspired. So that maybe comes later, you know, but those are the fears that I just want to shed. Enough. I don't think that God ever thinks we're not enough, you know. I think that's maybe like a human, a very sort of individualistic sort of perspective. So it's something I'm letting go of. That we're not enough, that you know, that you know, we don't have enough bandwidth, that the money at the end isn't going to be enough, you know. Enough, will it be enough? And I just have to definitely, like Isaac said, trust that you have enough wisdom, you know, and that this church has enough grace and enough, you know, energy and trust. And I forgot to do this, so is there anybody else that would like to share maybe? I don't have to conclude this. All right, so we'll do it kind of for everybody. God of compassion.
Hold us in love.
Okay, good. So I don't have a unison prayer after that section, but that's okay. So we'll move to a word of blessing. These are assurances that we can hold. These are parts of our past that we bring with us. These are elements of kind of things that we hold as values that we know will be with us, whatever you hold as an assurance. Maybe it's a space. I've heard people want to take pews. Yeah, it's wonderful, please. You know, January 11 will be our closing Sunday. This isn't our closing Sunday, but it's still kind of what things do we carry with us. And then January 18 will be in the chapel at St. Stephen's. So what do we bring with us? What assurances or values do we hold on to? What do you hold on to personally that kind of moves us into a place of trust rather than doubt? I'll leave the time open.
We've got this. We're pioneering people. Our ancestors came here either willingly or unwillingly, but they're here. And this congregation, since 1890, has moved forward. We've been at least in 3 or 4 different places now. We will get through this. We have got this. We've got it in our spirit. We know where we're going. And it doesn't matter what the end will be as far as a building goes or how much money we have, but we're going to go through it as a group of people, as a congregation together. And that's what's important. And we hope we won't be the Donner Party. We hope we get there in one piece, but we will get there because we have got this.
Faithful God.
Lead us forward.
I think the only thing I can actually say is we need to hold on to hope. I still have this hope stone I got like 1,000,000 years ago at this place. And every once in a while it reemerges in my house. or in pictures or something. But we have to hold on to hope for the future, hope for us as we hold together, as we move forward. Hope that we will always be in this together and always support each other, as we always have and always will.
Faithful God.
My voice is gone, so bear with me. My heart's been really heavy for a while. So I'm resting on strength. For this church, for me, that will have strength. And I know that we do. So we'll move forward.
Faithful God.
Sarah reminds me that we can be assured that we will have people like the people who have come into this church recently, the young families and the students and people who have been here for ages, feels like, and our pastor and our music director who have brought so much to this effort and will continue to do so. And that's a big assurance for me.
Faithful God.
I've always thought that this church, even when before I was pastoring, I always thought that this was a very special church. I've probably been a part of, I don't know, 10 churches, 5 probably working, and 5 others just going and attending at different periods of my life. And I do think there's just something really special about this place. It's a unique combination. We have trans students that come and feel very much loved and blessed here. We have folks who may not go to any other church besides this church that feel at home here. This feels like a place for church refugees, social, but also just like people that want to love and have a sense of Christ's presence without maybe, I don't know, without all of the dogma and doctrine that sometimes feels like a lot to handle and just, anyway, so it's just this really kind of special place. And like Leslie said, we are going to move forward. I also think it's really unique that there's a lot of churches closing, there just are, socially, nationally. If you look at the trends, I mean, it's just shrinking. But this church, as this unique little place in Columbus, Ohio, has this incredible opportunity to, we're going to be kind of not biding time. We're going to be working on some things. Believe me, I have like sort of a 2.5-year plan kind of thing. But it's like we also have this wonderful opportunity to take this and where Isaac says love is enough, and I forgot who else said this love that we have to share with others, where that gets a new home and is still represented, and it becomes a place for the community. The churches that are still here are the ones that are really digging down and being a place not just for a congregation, but for a neighborhood and a community. St. Stephen's is a good example as what they're doing. Their building will now be full with University Baptist. And we're sort of all these like tenants, but also kind of knit in a way with space, with need, and anyway. So I just think we have this tremendous opportunity too, and it's really exciting. Like if I think about it, I've shared this I think with Isaac. There was a chaplain friend, and I'll conclude it. There was a chaplain friend who used to ask patients when he would go, and he was a part of the palliative care as well as the hospice unit. And he would say, what's something you were really proud of with your career? Do you remember at your work, what's something that really stood out that you were proud of? I don't know when my time comes, right? I hope it's not soon. But I know that I'll be very proud, and I'll be able to answer that question distinctly with what's happening here. I'm very proud to have walked with each of you and to go through this, and I'll be able wholeheartedly, that will be my answer right here. Faithful God. Lead us forward. Anybody else? So join me in a unison prayer of trust. Is that a little too small to read?
Yes.
All right, join me in prayer. Faithful God, you have always called your people into trust. You have invited Abraham to walk forward with questions, guided by promise rather than certainty. You walked with Ruth as she chose love and loyalty, finding wisdom along the way, rather than answers given in advance. You have never asked your people to silence their minds or abandon their conscience. Instead, you have shaped us through listening, through discernment, through the slow learning of love. So in this season of change and transition, we place our trust in you. Teach us to seek wisdom when the path is unclear. Give us courage to move forward without having everything resolved. Help us trust not in rigid answers, but in your steady presence among us. When we are tempted by fear or certainty, ground us again in love. When the future feels fragile, remind us that faith is not something we possess, but something we practice step by step together. Bless our journey as a people learning, growing, and becoming. Lead us with humility, imagination, and grace. trusting that the God who has met us before will meet us again. Amen. As a word too, there were a few connections too with Oliva and Carolyn, and sort of grounding our values and where we've been and where also we're going. Oliva wanted to share a bit about Carolyn, her mom, Piper, who was a pastor here for a lot of years with Carl Brown, among others. And then this also is very close, I believe, to her birthday that Jonathan shared. Is that right? Okay. So all of those connections, would you come, Oliva, and share?
Take a deep breath. Gee, there are so many things to say about my mom. She's my mom. I miss her every day. Today is her birthday. One quick story about her birthday. She was the firstborn of a large family in Louisiana, and after she was born, everybody's happy, and all of a sudden somebody asked my gross papa, well, have you registered your daughter? And he's like, what am I supposed to do with that? And so by that point, it was December 28th. So that's when Carolyn Marie was welcomed into her family. And then we've grown from there. And this is hard. Thank you, Jonathan, for helping me with this. I don't know. Carolyn served as assistant and then associate pastor here at UBC across from Ohio State for nearly 20 years, working extensively with students in the North Campus stores. She spent the next 22 years as a pastoral counselor at Pastoral Counseling Services and Northwest Counseling Services. You know, this is great. When my mom died and we had the service, my mom had church children. My mom remembers when people were students. And doesn't matter, cards, Christmas cards, it didn't matter. And that it's good to have church children, and that it's good to have church friends. And I don't know, was my mom ever afraid? I have no idea. That's not part. I looked at through my mom. She was a visioning person, and she was busy. She started seminary when we moved to Columbus when I was in 9th grade. And I remember this big red book, her first book in seminary. And she brought it into the library at Jones to study. And I'm like, Mom, what are you doing? And she's like, well, I have to fill up my time somehow. You guys are too quiet. So she put little steps along the way. And she's with me always. You know, it's every day. When I feel like my life is tanking, or I've lost the love of my family, she is right there. And so is my father, Homer, who was the treasurer of the church. So that's kind of comes around. I'm the piper that stayed around. I got married here. So did my younger sister. So we've each found our way to remember Carolyn. We call her Carolyn. And Mutti, I was looking for my Mutti shirt. There's a picture. She's Mutti, M-U-T-T-I, to her grandchildren. And so they called her Mutti. How are you, Mutti? You know, and even though I didn't, per se, call her Mutti, it was so special to my mom when they called her. And, but no, learned a lot of things from her and still learning today. You know, that's why I said rattle our bones. I mean, we've been in this building, I don't know how many years. We started coming to church when we moved to Columbus, and UBC it has been my home, and Mom's home and Dad's home for that long. So I want to thank you all as a congregation that meet us where our need is and where we need a hug. And say I can always call somebody at UBC to get a hug. And that's where I met Jonathan here. So
He gave you a few hugs.
huh?
He gave you a few hugs.
He only gave me a few hugs. So it was wonderful. And I'm glad I'm here. I don't want to find another church. This is my church. This is going to be hard. I mean, well, I remember this room with no pews, and to me that's special. I remember running around, not getting in trouble by an adult in this space. So may we find the space in our lives and in our new building to feel free enough to love. And remember my mom. She was a great person. Thank you.
Faithful God.
Okay. All right. On her gravestone, this is great. She lived by this. And thank you, Jonathan, for taking the picture. I'm not a lady preacher. I'm a woman of God, called to serve the greatest and the least. Called to serve the greatest and the least. What does the Lord require of you but to do justice and love kindness and to walk humbly with your God? And thank you, Micah. Or whatever I get there. And my mom's thing is go in peace with love. Shalom. So thank you.
I invite us to close in song with hymn number 448, May the Blessing of God. And this will be a song that we can maybe repeat a few times. And so if it's also a prayer for you as we go forward, if it's a prayer for you when you go for treatments, it's a prayer for when Joe, your son-in-law, comes home, you know, Stephen's done, and Helen with you too. May the blessing of God go with each of you. So would you stand and sing with us? you have your hymnal still open to 448, we'll conclude with May God Embrace Us. 449, which I invite you to read in unison if you have it with you open. Let us read. May the God who dances in creation, who embraces us with human love, who shakes our lives like thunder or bones, bless us and drive us out with power to fill the world with her justice. Amen. Thank you all for joining in prayer. We'll pray with you this week. There isn't a second hour per se, but I'm going to be here. We can hang out and talk. I know Jennifer's still downstairs, but if you need to go, that's okay too. We honor that, and so blessing to each of you. Thank you, Andrea and Mia, for being here too, for supporting us, and David, who's away with his family on a much needed and deserved break and rest. He's been happy. Anything else? Oh, offering, thank you. We also have an offering plate. We know some folks had maybe end of the year donations kind of thing to give. You can do that. There's an offering plate right in the back with a table in the back. And then also some brought food. Joe, Karen, you guys are always so good at that. Bringing food for Neighborhood Services Incorporated. We've been doing that weekly through 2025. Okay. Well, we'll see all of you next year.
Oh, that's great.
like all things that you know, because it's just, but focus on here at Ohio State. Older sister was probably the female in Hong Kong. Yeah, very religious. And then her mom's she's one of the best female champions in Hong Kong. Because she has in 1998. So I came, but my husband was here, so I really didn't have to have fresh and new social connection. But a lot of my classmates and my friends did start with international friendship, the church as well. So it's really tremendous for newcomers and students. Started my